Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a completely bespoke hypercar that didn't just smash auction records, it marked the definitive, absolute end of an incredible automotive era. We're talking about the Bugatti Chiron Profile. You know, for the last 2 decades, Bugatti has literally been rewriting the rules of physics. They build machines that aren't just fast, they fundamentally challenge what we believe a production car can even do. And this specific vehicle right here, well, this is the ultimate final bow for a truly legendary platform. $10.7 million. Yeah, you heard that right. That staggering hammer price didn't just turn heads at Armed Sotheby's back in February 2023. It officially made the Profile the most expensive new car ever sold at auction. It completely shattered pre-sale estimates that were sitting around the 5.2 million mark, basically doubling everyone's expectations. But to understand why someone would drop nearly $11 million on a single vehicle, we really have to look at the story behind its creation. Just how rare is this thing? Well, the reason for that unbelievable price tag is pretty simple. This car is completely 100% one of a kind. And I don't just mean it has a customized paint job. See, when Bugatti launched the Chiron back in 2016, they capped total production at exactly 500 units, and every single slot sold out. But engineers had already fully developed and homologated this pre-series vehicle. It was thoroughly tested, it was totally street legal, and as Bugatti's president, Christophe Bijan, pointed out, it was just too beautiful to hide away in a warehouse somewhere. So Bugatti did something literally unprecedented. They built it anyway. This car is actually the 501st vehicle in a strictly limited 500-car run. It is a true automotive solitaire. Section 1. A softer Pur Sport. So what exactly was the driving force behind building this completely unique machine? Let's take a look. It really all comes down to this touring philosophy. Think of it a bit like the Porsche 911 GT3 Touring. Bugatti already had the Chiron Pur Sport, right? That was their hardcore, high downforce track weapon with a massive 6-foot-wide fixed rear wing. And customers absolutely loved the aggressive gearing and handling of the Pur Sport. But some of them went to Bugatti and asked, hey, can we get that same dynamic character, but wrapped in a more elegant, understated package? They wanted a grand tour, not a boy racer. So Bugatti listened. They swapped the massive, aggressive wing of a track weapon for an elegant wingless tuxedo. And just look at the result. Without that giant wing, the flowing lines of the Chiron are completely restored. This beautifully sleek silhouette perfectly highlights how the Profile takes brutal, reality-bending physics and dresses them up in a graceful, timeless shape. Actually, the name Profile takes its inspiration from one of Jean Bugatti's very first creations, the Type 46, which had a really similar, elegant flick in its tail. It's a design that nods to the brand's incredibly rich racing heritage while keeping that air of ultimate luxury. Section 2. Form meets aerodynamic function. Because let's be real, when you pull a giant wing off a car that travels over 200 miles per hour, you're going to introduce some serious aerodynamic challenges. But that beautiful, sweeping, ducktail spoiler, it is definitely not just for show. It is an absolute masterclass in thermodynamic and aerodynamic engineering. It actually pulls double duty, carrying out 2 vital functions at the exact same time. First off, the air flowing over the top of the wing ensures stability and pushes downforce right over the rear axle. But here's the crazy part. It also uses negative pressure underneath the wing to literally suck hot air out of the engine compartment through 2 interior tunnels. So it keeps the car glued to the tarmac and stops that massive engine from melting, all in one elegant swoop. Pretty brilliant, right? Now, despite its refined grand touring look, the underlying numbers are still utterly terrifying. This 1,500 PS monster rockets from 0 to 62 miles per hour in an eye-watering 2.3 seconds. And get this, because it creates less aerodynamic drag than the wide-winged Pur Sport, its top speed actually goes up. The Profile will hit 380 kilometers per hour, that's 236 miles per hour, compared to the Pur Sport's 217. It is sheer absolute violence, just masked in haute couture. And hey, it's not just about straight line speed either. It keeps all those hardcore mechanicals that made the Pur Sport so legendary in the corners. They gave it 15% shorter gear ratios than the standard Chiron Sport, so the acceleration is just incredibly urgent. Combine that with a red line pushed all the way to 6,900 RPM, 10% stiffer springs, and a massive 50% more negative camber on the rear axle, what you end up with is a car that offers immense lateral grip. It handles with the raw aggression of a track car, but rides with the smooth composure of a grand tourer. Section 3. Woven leather and bespoke details.
Because underneath all that physics and engineering is the painstakingly detailed craftsmanship that truly justifies an unprecedented 8-figure price tag. Let's get into the details. First up, the exterior of this solitary vehicle has a completely unique paint job. Bugatti developed this primary color, called Argent Atlantique, exclusively for the Profile. There is literally no other Chiron on the planet painted in this shade, and they paired it beautifully with a lower body finished in exposed carbon fiber, subtly tinted in blue royale carbon. Even the custom wheels are totally bespoke. They're painted in a matching Lipatron shade with polished aluminum accents that intentionally mimic the famous Bugatti horseshoe grille. Now take a look at this number, because it represents an unbelievable amount of human effort. 2,500. That is the exact number of meters of leather strips that were painstakingly woven entirely by hand into the vehicle's interior. Just wrap your head around that scale for a second. That's over 1.5 miles of leather strips meticulously woven by artisans in Molsheim just to create a single interior texture. And this unprecedented woven leather finish actually makes the Profile the very first Chiron to ever feature this technique. It turns the cabin into an absolute masterpiece of minimalist luxury. You'll find it applied extensively across the dashboard, the door panels, and the center console. The intricate weave contrasts so perfectly against the deep blue and gris Rafali leather comfort seats. Oh, and right there in the center console, set into black anodized aluminum, is the Profile's signature. It's just a quiet, elegant little reminder to the driver that they are sitting inside a literal one-of-one creation. Section 4. The W16 Engine's Farewell. You see, the Profile is much, much more than just a rare car. It's really an incredibly emotional farewell to an engineering marvel that completely defined a generation. If we look at the legacy of this quad-turbo 8.0-liter W16 engine, well, let's go back to 2005. The Veyron shattered the mythical 1,000 horsepower barrier. At the time, that was an engineering feat that most people thought was flat out impossible for a reliable road-going car that still had, air conditioning. Bugatti solved a packaging puzzle so incredibly complex that no other manufacturer even attempted to copy it. And for nearly 20 years, spanning the Veyron and Chiron eras, Bugatti just kept refining, pushing, and evolving that exact same fundamental architecture to ever more insane heights. Ultimately, what the Profile represents is the final curtain call for this specific era of irrational, beautiful combustion madness. The W16 wasn't built to be efficient. It was built to be a mechanical spectacle. Moving forward, Bugatti is officially pivoting to the Tourbillon, which uses an 8.3-liter naturally aspirated V16 paired up with 3 electric motors. Now, sure, the new hybrid setup is going to be even more powerful. We're talking 1,800 horsepower. But it absolutely marks a fundamental shift toward electrified efficiency. It closes the book on the pure quad-turbocharged excess of the W16. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought to ponder. Bugatti didn't just quietly phase out the W16, did they? No, they commissioned masterpieces like the Profile to give it a multi-million-dollar send-off worthy of historic high art. But as we head into an incoming age of sensible electrification, where downsized engines and battery packs dominate all the performance figures, will we ever see this level of raw, analog, over-engineered automotive drama again? Will an engine ever capture the world's imagination quite like the Bugatti W16? Something to think about.